This video is brought to you by my two books, Practical Music Theory for the Rock Guitarist and The Blues Guitar Bible. Want to learn about modes, harmony, scales, chord substitution and keys? Or maybe you're interested in supercharging your blues guitar rhythm and lead chops. Whatever you're interested in, I guarantee you will be hitting the fast lane to progress with either of these works. Both feature video demonstrations and tutorials, loads of tabs and jam tracks to play along with, and I promise you, everything is explained in crystal clear plain English. Check out the links in the description for more details. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. It's a little bit more of an in-depth look, I suppose, at this thing today. The Sonicake Pocket Master. I did a first impressions video that went out on Thursday where I ran through some of the presets on it and showed you how you can kind of hook it up to a PC in order to record with it, should that be something that you're interested in doing. And I said that today it will be time to look at what these sounds that are in this thing, how they perform in the context of a mix. So that's what's coming up next. You will see and hear me playing a bunch of things through this in my usual slightly formulaic demo track. You'll see on screen the presets that I'm using, some of which have been subtly tweaked, like, you know, adjusting the gain or, you know, that kind of thing. But there are no additional effects on this track that you're going to hear other than what you can hear on this, apart from the fact, and I don't, is this an effect? I double tracked and panned left and right all of the rhythm guitar parts because I just tend to do that anyway. But, you know, there are no delays added in the mix, no reverbs, nothing like that added after the fact. All of the sort of effects that you're hearing in the guitar tones come straight from this little box of tricks. And here's how it performed. So there it is. Yes, we'll talk about how that came out in a moment, but I will just mention before we go any further that there is a full tab for that tune in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with a clip of me playing it and a jam track for you to play along yourself. That is all up on my Patreon page. There's the address, link in the description. As I'm sure you know by now, $3 or about £3 a month gets you access to all of these additional goodies that go along with these YouTube videos, and of course a humongously huge, heartfelt, sincere thank you to everyone who supports me in that or any of the other ways, all of which are downstairs in the description. So, thoughts and observations on the Sonicake Pocket Master. I don't know why, but I found the editing process on this a lot easier than on comparable units. I'm notoriously not very fond, shall we say, of having to squint into a menu and into a display and scroll through menus and that sort of thing. However, I didn't find it as bamboozling on this as I have done on similar products, and I don't know why, because let's face it, all of the the firmware and everything on much of these things is pretty much the same, and they all have the same sort of architecture and layout. If you're familiar with one, then you can make the leap to another very, very easily. But maybe I'm just getting a little bit more used to this kind of thing. I don't know, but I found the editing process to just back off things like the gain or dial back the reverb or add a little bit more delay, for example. I found it a lot easier to do on this than I have done previously with the last Sonicake thing I tried, which was the Sonicake Matribox, the first one, not the subsequent editions. I also found that this was a much easier experience when it came to recording. You install the drivers, you USB it in, and your PC or whatever, basically your DAW picks this up as an audio device and it just works. That wasn't my experience with the Sonicake Matribox. I remember it being, quite the faff around to get that to work. And it's in isolation, the tones that this thing gives. I was scrolling through them in the last video. By the way, if you missed the last video where I show you how to hook it all up and everything, then there's a link to that in the description. In isolation, I think the tones on this, especially if you're kind of listening through headphones, sound really, really good. They punch well above the weight for the £42 that I paid for this, which is what it cost me on Amazon. I think they've gone up a little bit more since then. But, really impressed with just the basic tones. But as is common with anything like this that I've tried, as soon as you put it into a mix, something happens where just the digital processed nature of it just stands out a lot more. They are credible sounds, they are usable sounds, and, let's not forget the fact that because of the way the technology advances and the cost comes down, something like this with the capabilities of this, if you were recording an album in 1986, would have been beyond your wildest dreams. It would have been, first of all, it would have been a rack unit the size of a wardrobe, and it would have cost a king's ransom to own. And technology gets cheaper and gets more powerful every year, and we end up with something like this. So there's a lot to be said for it. If you are, you could probably edit away that sort of digital processed-y kind of feel to it if you had the time and the will to do so. I don't, so I have plans for this pedal, which I'm going to tell you later. But, people more, shall we say, skilled than I am when it comes to editing the kind of gubbins that goes on inside this sort of thing would probably be able to make something like this sound absolutely heavenly and realistic, and like you're playing through a real amp. John Cordy could probably make a better job of it than I ever will, because that's very much one of his fields of expertise, where it isn't mine. So the sounds straight out the box are great when you're just listening in isolation. If all you're wanting is something to plug your guitar into, plug some headphones into, or not even bother doing that, because I believe it's got you can Bluetooth it to your earbuds, then and have some fun playing with big stereo guitar sounds, then this is fantastic. If you are on a budget and you're looking to do some recording, and you want guitar sounds and you want an interface of some kind, again, hard to beat in terms of value. There was no kind of lag or latency issues when I was recording with this, and I don't have a particularly high spec machine computer, it has to be said, that I use, and it just worked perfectly. Without any kind of techie issues or anything like that. None of this sort of thing where you play a note and then like a noticeable split second later you actually hear it come out the speakers. None of that. It worked smoothly and without any friction. Someone could probably dial in the sounds a lot better than I could on this and make it sound, as I say, absolutely convincingly real. But for me, there was always that sort of element of digitalness about it that just, means that the Blue Guitar Amp 1, has no need to be fearing its place in my affections. I've got a good friend who's in need of a solution of this type, just for getting some guitar tones for practicing, and we're basically going to do a bit of a swap. He's going to give me, I'm going to give him this, and he's going to give me some beer, and that seems like a fair swap to me. So there we go, the Sonicake Pocket Master. You've heard what it sounds like, you've heard what my thoughts on it are. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I still say, for what it's aimed at, like a practice tool for beginners and a budget conscious recording solution where you can get usable sound, then 40 odd quid, whatever it costs. Maybe it's a little bit more than that now, but still great value. So that's it, my thoughts and conclusions on the Sonicake Pocket Master. Make of them what you will. Hope you've enjoyed the video and found it entertaining and useful in some small way, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so, and why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. And don't forget the live stream, of course, every Friday 5 PM UK time, where we drink beer and talk about stuff. Basically, it is a great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.